My name is Ethan Miller, and I've worked in remote places most people refuse to visit. I inspect trail cameras, emergency towers, and power lines deep in the American wilderness. Forests never scared me, but there is one place I will never go back to, a town called Hollow Creek. The problem is, Hollow Creek doesn't exist on any map. Part 1, the email. It started with a simple email. Temporary inspection job. Remote location, high pay. Lodging included. No questions asked. The pay was almost double my usual rate. The only strange part was one line at the bottom. Once you arrive, do not leave the town after sunset. I assumed it was some local superstition. Small towns have those. I replied yes. That was my first mistake. Part 2, the road. The drive took almost 6 hours. The last gas station disappeared miles ago. My phone lost signal. GPS started looping the same directions over and over. Then between the trees, I saw a rusted sign. Welcome to Hollow Creek. Population 312. The town looked wrong. Every house was intact. Lights were on, but the streets were empty. No kids, no animals, not even birds. Just silence. Part 3, the people. The townsfolk greeted me politely. Too politely. They smiled a lot, but none of them blinked. Not once. Their eyes followed me everywhere I went. It felt like they were watching through me, not at me. The mayor, a thin man with a permanent grin, explained my job. You'll be checking trail cameras near the woods. Simple work. I asked what lived in the woods. He paused, then said, anything that leaves home after dark. Part 4, the cameras. That night, I reviewed footage from one of the trail cams. At first, everything looked normal. Deer, coyotes, raccoons. Then I reached 12:47 a.m. The camera suddenly shook. Something stepped into frame. It stood on 2 legs, but the joints bent the wrong way. Its arms were too long, its head tilted like it was curious. Then it looked directly into the lens and smiled. Human teeth, perfectly human teeth. Behind me, someone spoke. You weren't supposed to watch that. I nearly dropped the tablet. It was the mayor. Part 5, the truth. They told me the truth that night. Hollow Creek was never meant to be found. Something lived in the forest, something old. It hunted movement, fear, new faces. The town survived by feeding it outsiders, inspectors, hikers, travelers. People like me, if no one new came, the thing would take them. That's why no one leaves after sunset. Part 6, the rule I broke. That night, the moon was full. I broke the rule. I ran. The forest swallowed the road behind me. Branches snapped in perfect rhythm with my footsteps. When I stopped, the footsteps stopped too. Then I heard my name. Ethan. It wasn't loud. It was close. You saw me? Now I can see you. Part 7, escape. I don't remember how long I ran. I woke up at dawn, lying on the shoulder of a highway. Bruised, bleeding, barely alive. Police searched for Hollow Creek. They found nothing. No town, no sign, no road. Only endless forest. Final warning. Sometimes, late at night, my security cameras activate by themselves. The footage always corrupts. But once, just once, I saw movement at the edge of the trees. Something standing very still, watching. If you're ever alone in the woods and someone whispers your name, do not answer, because Hollow Creek wasn't a town. It was a trap. And whatever lives there is still hungry. Some stories end. This one didn't. If you felt something watching you while listening to this, because the next story might be worse. It was 3:17 a.m. when Emily Carter realized she should not have taken Route 41. Her phone had died 15 minutes ago. The radio was nothing but static, and the fog ahead was so thick it swallowed the road entirely. Emily worked late shifts at a nursing home outside Madison, Wisconsin. That night had been brutal. Double shifts, screaming patients, the smell of antiseptic still clinging to her clothes. She just wanted to get home. Route 41 was faster, lonelier, and something everyone avoided after midnight. Her headlights barely cut through the fog when a scream exploded through the night. Not a cry, not a shout. A woman's scream. Emily slammed the brakes. The car skidded slightly before stopping in the middle of the road. Her heart pounded so hard she could hear it in her ears. She rolled down the window. "Hello?" she called out, her voice trembling. Nothing. No footsteps. No movement. just fog rolling slowly across the asphalt. She told herself it was an animal. Maybe a fox, maybe someone drunk. But then she saw it. At the edge of the road, a woman, standing perfectly still. Her clothes were old-fashioned. Her hair hung over her face. Her feet were bare, resting on cold pavement. "Are you okay?" Emily asked, gripping the steering wheel. The woman lifted her head. Her face was wrong. Her mouth stretched far wider than humanly possible. Her eyes were black pits, empty and wet. And then, she smiled. Emily's instinct screamed at her to run. She slammed the gas pedal. The car lurched forward, and something hit the trunk. Hard! The rearview mirror shook violently. A sound followed. Running, not footsteps. Claws. Scraping metal. Emily glanced into the mirror. The woman was behind her car, on all fours. Running, her head twisted backward, staring directly into Emily's eyes. The speedometer hit 70, then 80. Still, the thing kept up. Its mouth opened impossibly wide as it screamed again, this time inches from the rear window. Suddenly, silence. The pressure vanished. Emily didn't stop driving until she reached her apartment complex. She locked herself inside and didn't sleep until sunrise. The next day, she went to the police. They listened quietly. Then one officer asked, "Did you see her feet?" Emily nodded. "Bare, dirty," the officer swallowed. 50 years ago, he said, a woman was hit and dragged to death on Route 41. Witnesses said she screamed until she stopped breathing. Emily's blood ran cold. They never found her legs, he added. Emily never drove Route 41 again. But sometimes, at exactly 3:17 a.m., she still hears screaming outside her window. And it's getting closer. This was not the end. It was a warning. Subscribe to witness the next chapter of this nightmare. At exactly 2:41 a.m., my phone rang. I didn't check the screen at first. I didn't need to. Because no one ever calls me at 2:41. And because the ringtone was one I had deleted. 3 weeks ago, I finally looked down. Her name was on the screen. Lena, the girl who died on a rainy road 23 days ago. Part 1, Who She Was, Romantic Setup. I met Lena during the loneliest year of my life. New city, old apartment, no friends. She worked night shifts at a small coffee shop near my building. She never smiled much. But when she did, it felt personal. Like she was smiling only for me. We started talking, then texting, then calling each other late at night. She loved silence. Sometimes we wouldn't talk at all. We would just breathe, on opposite ends of the phone. One night she said something strange. "If I ever stop calling you, promise you'll never answer." I laughed. I shouldn't have. Part 2, The Accident. 3 weeks later, on a stormy night, Lena never showed up. Her phone went straight to voicemail. The next morning, her photo was on the news. Car accident. Dead at the scene. I didn't cry at first. I just stared at the screen, like it was lying to me. At the funeral, her phone was placed inside the coffin. I watched them lower her into the ground. I thought that was the end. Part 3. First call, turning point. At 2:41 a.m., my phone rang. Her ringtone. My hands shook. I answered. Silence. Then breathing. Slow. Familiar. And then her voice whispered, "Why didn't you answer before?" My body froze. I whispered her name. She laughed softly. "You always do that," she said. "You always say my name first." The call ended. I didn't sleep that night. Part 4, Every Night, Escalation. The calls came every night, always at 2:41 a.m. Sometimes she talked. Sometimes she just listened. She knew things she shouldn't. Things I hadn't told anyone. One night she said, "You're not alone when you sleep." I checked my apartment. Locks were untouched. Still. I started sleeping with the lights on. Part 5, The Rule. On the 7th night, I finally asked her, "How are you calling me?" Her voice changed. Colder. "I never left," she said. "You just stopped seeing me." I hung up. blocked the number, deleted everything. At 2:41 a.m., my phone rang anyway. Unknown number. I answered by accident. She was crying. "You promised," she whispered. "You promised you'd never answer." Part 6, the location, Horror Peak. She sent me a live location. It was close. Too close. The pin moved. Slowly. Stopping. Outside my apartment door. I heard knocking. 3 soft taps. Then her voice came through the phone. "I'm here now." Part 7, the truth. I opened the door. No one was there. But my phone was still ringing. The call ended. A notification appeared. Missed call, Lena. Time, 2:41 a.m. Then another notification. Voicemail received. I pressed play. It was my own voice, whispering, "I'll never stop answering." Part 8, ending devastating. The next morning, neighbors found my phone, lying on the floor, still ringing. No body, no signs of struggle, just one final voicemail saved. Her voice, calm, satisfied. "Now you're with me," she whispered. "Forever." And every night since then. At 2:41 a.m., someone else's phone rings. Ending line for subscribe conversion. If you want to hear what happened to the next person, subscribe.